that. Yeah. I was talking to him.
Ready? Okay, call this meeting to order. Wednesday, September 6th, council work session. Visitor comments? Not surprising. Okay, request from the police department. Linda.
Thank you guys for having me here. I am here because I want to invite you guys to host a table at our Halloween event. Our scarecrow this year is going to be a children's Halloween party hosted by Officer Friendly and K9 Spike. And as an extension of that, we are going to invite the community to come trick or treat at the police department. And I've been asking the different boards and commissions and some of the other community organizations to host a table that will allow the kids to come and do an activity or play a game and earn a treat there at the police department, something safe for the kids to do and to have a positive experience with our police officers. So I'm hoping that you, as the city council, will host a table.
I'm willing to do that.
What day is this?
What is it? This is going to be on Halloween from 5 to 8 p.m. That is a Tuesday evening.
What does it mean to us?
That
Do
means
we
will be passing out candy, right? Hosting the
Does
table.
it mean we go there or does it mean we give you
Microphone.
It can be either. I'd really like to have you guys be there and host a table, or have someone, a representative from the city, to be there to host a table. The police department is going to have a table. CCOM is going to have a table. I've been told that probably arts and cultural and library is going to have a table. Bike commission seem to be very positive about the experience, and I believe they're going to have a table and maybe do a helmet event. So
if we host a table, we need to have a game or some kind of an activity.
that would be what I would like to see, yes.
And I would be willing to help with you guys.
Okay.
There's ideas on Pinterest
Okay.
that I looked at, and
Easy
then
ones
also
for us.
like as far as like little prizes, Oriental Trading has things that we could get that, or it's little prizes that each kid would get and candy and stuff. So
That's what we're looking at.
I could work
So
with.
are we providing our own candy and prizes?
Yes.
Okay. I'm in.
And then just let me know if you need a
5
table.
to 7?
5 to 8 p.m.
5 to 8.
Mhm.
I can definitely commit to like an hour and a half. So I'll probably want to jump back down here for some festivities and see what's going on.
Mhm.
So I can definitely be there for about an hour and a half.
Great.
I'll be there.
Glad to have you guys participate. Any questions before I leave?
So,
Okay.
sounds like it'll be fun.
I hope so.
Yep,
Maybe if it's big enough, we can do it annually.
that'd be cool.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, discuss amendments to municipal code. Graffiti cleanup timeframe. Terry, so I think that's, we got Bob in place of Terry, maybe?
Terry asked me to look into it and report back to you.
Okay, Bob Johnson, you want to step up here and give us a report?
Bob Johnston, building official. Terry did put out feelers to the rest of the state through the Police Chief Association.
Can you turn your mic on, please? The button.
There you
Thank you.
Okay, Bob Johnston, building official. Terry had done some research, sent out a blanket email to his other partners throughout the state through the Police Commissioner, Police Chiefs Association, and got a varied response on how different jurisdictions deal with graffiti. Goes back to the municipal code for the jurisdiction. Our particular municipal code, I think Kathy has we do address graffiti in municipal code in chapter 8.14.070 sub 1. Identifies graffiti as something that's a violation of the municipal code. And 814.030 gives us the avenue of how we deal with it. It's a little bit vague on how aggressive we want to get with it. My discussion with Chief Moss was, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Somebody has property that somebody else has come and tagged with graffiti or some form of artwork. Is it fair to the property owner to take care of something that's damage to their property? Is it fair to the homeowner or the property owner to require that that be done at their expense? And if they refuse to do it, then we come in and clean it up and send them a bill. That's a question that I want to pose to the council of how would you feel it equitable to deal with cleaning up graffiti if we have an example. Elderly woman, fixed income, somebody comes and tags her fence with something extremely offensive that we find unacceptable to remain there. We require her to clean it. It's her fence, it's her property. Municipal code says you take care of it. If you don't take care of it, then we, through the municipal code, can take care of it and send you the bill. If you don't pay the bill, then we put a lien on your property at 7%. It's a double whammy to somebody on a fixed income to have to deal with that if that's the approach we're going to take. So it was my understanding that this was brought up from complaints in the community to the council. So my question for the council is, how do you want us to deal with it?
Before we answer that question, I have some questions for you. Could you define what constitutes graffiti?
No, because there is no definition.
That's a problem.
Well, typically in any of the other building codes, if we don't have a defined or a specific definition, we go back to Webster's to use that definition as a common definition if it's not properly or clearly identified elsewhere.
What is that definition?
Don't know. I didn't go that far into it.
Okay. How many incidents have we had in the last year that you would consider to constitute?
This is the first I've heard of graffiti being an issue. I don't know, Chief, can you highlight this?
I don't have a number for you, but I can tell you that the city has been the victim of it on a number of occasions.
That's
You
right.
probably can speak with more authority than I can, but the school district has been a victim of it. There's been a couple businesses in town that have been victims of it.
Library?
Are we talking about vandalism or property damage, or are we talking about paint on a wall?
Yes, no, we're talking about vandals taking spray paint cans and drawing,
Okay,
writing on walls.
okay.
They usually put like a three letter, which is their tag, and they
Right.
do some stuff. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I just wanted to know how
And
far
then
it went.
in your packets, the responses that I got from the police chiefs around the state are to the points that some of you have already made. One of them, I think it was Baker City, had a victim who decided that they actually liked whatever it was that was painted on their building and wanted to keep it. And the city said, no, you can't, and it turned into a fight over the definition of graffiti.
Yeah,
And then Tillamook had an issue with, issue Bob talked about with a person who was a victim who was then forced through the abatement process to repair the damage to their property. They couldn't afford to do it, so the city felt like somehow they wanted to help be the good guys and help pay for the paint to fix it. So anyway, there's a lot of pitfalls, and there's a lot of things that we need to think about if we're going to make some adjustments. I don't know if there's a catch-all or an end-all to this. There's just some things that should be thought about and considered when we move down this road.
I'm not sure that we can put something in municipal code that we can't even define. We'd have to have,
Well, is this our code?
No, that's the definition.
Oh, that Webster's. Yeah, well, do we want to have a definition, I guess is the question.
If it isn't being a huge problem, I would address it when it becomes more of a problem rather than if there are only a few incidents that we can take care of with. I don't know.
Well, I think we're the biggest victim of it all. And I think since I've been here, I know this property down here in Boise.
Well, that was where the question came from originally, was when are you gonna clean it up? And-
Yes.
And then Councilor Morton's question about, can we move this along and create some language that requires folks, including us, the city, I think, if I'm not putting words in your mouth, to expect that there's some cleanup that should be done, whether it be, according to some of the folks that we talked to, 7 days, 10 days, 14 days, you have to clean it up. And as Bob's already pointed out, ours, we have graffiti in our ordinance or a prohibition on it, but there's no expectation of 7 days, 10 days, 14 days. You must clean it up or else we will, in our current code.
Doesn't the school, St. Helens School District has policy of how fast they turn it around? Because the school, when they're victim, it's 48 hours.
I believe so.
They're covering it fast.
Well-
And I wonder if, to Counselor Khan's point, it's like, I don't know if we need to proclaim something, but I think we could have a city policy as a guideline, and I mean, you don't wanna be dictator to your community, but it seems like government is the primary target, whether it be the city, the fire department, or us. That seems to be the primary target, and I think it can be a
I
policy
don't,
to start with.
we've all got stories, but the other night, a month ago, there was a case in Portland where a house was tagged with graffiti on the garage door, and they went out right away and covered it up. But the question, I think what we're getting at, Councilor Morton's question is, okay, if they didn't clean it up, what do we do about it? And that's what I think Bob is left without, and that is, there's nothing in our current code that says, okay, you've got 10 days to address this, or we'll do it for you, or we will. That's the piece we're lacking, and I guess that's what we're looking for from you folks is that what you're looking for? Is this the direction that the council wants to head? And if so, what do you want it to look like? Do you want it to be 7 days, 10 days, or do you want nothing at all? That's really the question, I think.
And I think right now in 814.030 sub 2, it identifies any police officer, code enforcement, building official, planner, public works administrator, city administrator, anybody can make that determination whether they deem it to be graffiti. You know, if it's nice and non-offensive, maybe we can look at it as artwork, but you know, that's guidance we're looking for the council to give us of where you would like us to go with it and how do we set those parameters.
Well, in Troutdale, it sounded like they addressed that problem because they need permission from the property owner. They require permission from the property owner to go on and fix it. And in his notes, the police chief asks about other options for cleaning it up, service groups or what do I call it? Community service. Would that be
Service group.
possible?
The service
To
group, I
use
like
community
that.
service?
A graffiti coalition.
Yeah,
But with
Troutdale.
permission of the property owner.
A previous chief of Troutdale talked about waivers. You know, there's all kinds of issues with us going onto someone else's property to make them clean it up.
Right.
You know, we've seen a lot of this over the last few months with the abatement process and some of the properties that we've had Adam and Jamin and Bob involved in. To send a work crew out creates a whole other set of issues, insurance and licensing and who's responsible for these folks and what are the expectations, and especially if you give them a gallon of paint and a brush and say, here, now fix it.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's a lot of questions there.
Well, I think in operating a business or owning a home, that goes along with part of the responsibility of ownership, is keeping the upkeep of your home or business site in a standard that the community, I think, is acceptable to the community. The key is, and Susan brings up that point, is that by definition, what's acceptable and what isn't. And I think that we do need a definition in the ordinance. Otherwise, it'll be challenged. And I totally agree with being responsible for your own property, no matter who it is who inflicts harm to your property. You should be mandated to repair it, get it back. If you want to, if the property owner knows who the responsible persons are, then it goes through the justice system. If not, we know we have a problem, and the way to whip that problem is get it cleaned up. The way to encourage that problem is just leave it the way it is, and it gives a green light for more graffiti to flourish. That's my thoughts.
And I think that's pretty evident of the communities where you see graffiti just left. It just does invite more opportunities for more graffiti. So I guess what I would suggest or request from the council is, do we need a resolution, or how do you want to get a definition for graffiti written into the
That'd be the way to go. It's the only way to go, isn't it?
Yes.
I think that's something that we need to look at, not decide on
How
at
do
the
you-
moment.
Is that something you want me to put together, or Chief Moss to put together,
Well,
or?
I'd like to get a little bit of input from Councilor Dr. Carlson here.
It isn't just public properties, because on my rounds of walking back here in the city's parking lot over across First Street, seems to be always some graffiti over there, and usually takes them 2 or 3 months to clean it up, and then another month or two it's back again. So definitely need something, and those would be businesses. I haven't really seen much around town on homes and whatnot. It's either business or public
We're
property.
lucky
One of the
so
two.
far.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't interrupt you, Councilor Locke, but one of the things that was fairly common in the messages that I passed on to you, and I got another one just today from the city of Tigard that is not in your packet. It seems that the enforcement of those ordinances is actually quite rare. There wasn't, nobody got back to me and said they use it all the time, the ordinance that is. Having it on the books, and having the ability to express that to property owners that, hey, look, there's an ordinance that says you have 10 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, whatever the number is, to clean it up, they're finding compliance, and people are taking responsibility in cleaning it up. If I'm asked for an opinion, I think that something like that would be helpful, so that when we are out in the community, we take those reports, Bob's doing his inspections, and we come across graffiti, we can say to folks, there is an ordinance, and you have whatever you guys determine is appropriate, clean it up.
The drawback to having a specific time frame is if it's a refrigerator-sized marker graffiti versus a bus-sized graffiti. The time frame to be
Or if
able
it's
to.
just some
Yeah. just-
12-year-old
yeah.
making lines
Yeah.
versus the N-word on the side of the school.
So I'm
You're gonna feel differently based on the severity of the infraction.
right. And it's almost a case-by-case basis, but I agree with Chief Moss that we do need something as a guideline for a time frame.
Can you
that
have
be-
not more than, as opposed to a specific
Yes.
number of days, so
Yeah.
that way
Yeah.
it'll give the enforcement not more than 2 weeks, or not more than 10 days?
Well, what I see is, as a workable solution is a specific time frame, adjustable with approaching the council at one of the meetings and saying, hey, I've got this thing that's the size of a freight train that I've got to clean up, and I need more than X amount of days to be able to do that, and ask on a case-by-case basis for an extension from the council. And I think that's a reasonable approach.
So if I read something like we were going with that, Bob, if I read something like, you have a week to clean it up, but there is an exception to come to council or a request through the city code enforcement officer.
Yeah, if we give them a 7-day timeframe with an option of approaching the council for initial time, you know, I would ask that the council would be
Well,
reluctant to extend.
I would like to leave some of that into the code enforcement's,
Right.
ability too, to a certain extent. You know, I don't think we have to see everything that's over a week. You know, if it's a big, huge deal and the code enforcement's aware of it and is working with somebody, we'll allow them to do that.
Question, can't anybody come at any time and talk to us about having something extended? Do we need
Yeah.
to, we don't need to state that, I don't think.
With the current abatement process, which goes into this whole other code, part of the code that deals with nuisance properties and unsafe properties, and that's where that graffiti piece is found in our current language. Through that abatement process, if it gets to the point where they're served notice, they get a chance to come before the council anyway to ask for time or explain their case or whatever.
So it's already there.
And it would be, I think, your prerogative to agree or disagree that it's art or not, and needs to be cleaned up or not, and expect it, require it.
The only thing I would be leery of, Terry, is an outside neighbor, and code enforcement is working with that person who got tagged, and the neighbor is making a complaint. I think Adam, who is our code enforcement right now, should have the ability to say, I am currently working on this situation, and we are moving forward with it, if it's over that deadline.
Doesn't he?
And he does that anyway.
Yeah.
There's nuisance properties all over town that he deals with that have nothing to do with graffiti, all kinds of other issues. If
Yep.
Someone might
And I'm
complain,
hearing good things about Adam too, by the way, just so you know.
he might already be working with them and told somebody that they have until next Friday or payday or whatever it is to clean it up. And so those deals, if you want to call them that, are brokered every day with code enforcement.
Yeah, that's part of what Adam does is, you know, he's trying to gain compliance through cooperation rather than coming before the council and doing it through resolution. Once we go to the general abatement and get resolution, there's a specific 30-day time frame for that to happen, or we move forward with the cleanup efforts after that. But in the interim, until we have a resolution demanding that it be cleaned up, that's where Adam does his magic of trying to work with the people, urge them, you know, get agreement and get cooperation from them on the cleanup process, and that goes on all day, every day.
Okay, graffiti's already included in there, don't we just have to include a time frame for which, within which it has to be cleaned up? I don't think we need a new resolution, I think we need just what we have.
No, well, what we need is a definition of what graffiti is.
Well, I think that's gonna be on an individual basis, what constitutes
Well,
graffiti.
you know, prior to this, some codes have been challenged because there was no definition. And so I think a definition just needs to be there, because that opens a can of worms for anyone to challenge it. If it's there, it's there. And you have to go to Webster, that's fine. But I think you folks know. So,
Yeah.
you know, in your best, put your best foot forward and just go, hey, I think graffiti is,
Yep.
you know, this or this or this or this.
And bring it back to us, and if we need to make a resolution, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll do. Thank you.
So,
Thanks.
one other.
So you're gonna work with Terry on that, right?
Absolutely.
Bob, John wanted to chime in.
I just wanted to maybe draw a couple lines here, at least in my mind. Apologies if this is a little hip shot, but we have public graffiti, which is pretty much is what an official says it is, because it's defined somewhere, at least in the dictionary. And then the private, which is an enforcement issue. And I think of big cities that have these graffiti, you know, zero tolerance response teams. They, you know, if they see graffiti, they've got people on it, they're covering it up. And that's what has been successful in the larger cities, is for to take that creative license away from people that spend all that time doing it. So I mean, that's one mitigation method.
Yeah.
That could be a policy on public property, potentially. the private track's a little more complicated when you start intermixing, is it art, is it whatever, and I think there are some lines that we could draw more immediate, and a definition is probably good to have graffiti.
Yeah,
I just looked it up, but it was an illicit action of writing, painting, or spray. That's what it says.
Illicit or unauthorized.
And you bring up a good point. The bulk of the person who brought this to us is on our property and would like it cleaned up within 48 hours, in his opinion. And we know who that is because he showed up a number of times with this complaint.
So speaking of that property, I think the best solution for that is probably just to knock those walls down. Does anybody have any issues with that? So I think we'll spend less time doing that than we will going out there every 3 days.
I worry about the risk of having them up there, the amount of bicycles and stuff I see up on top of there with the kids. I'm worried about that since we opened the property.
So I think that's what we'll do.
Taking the walls down
Go out
makes
and
this
knock them
sense.
down.
They need to come down anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully they don't have a ton of rebar in them.
you don't have any purpose. Well, they probably got.
Oh,
Yeah, because I think the Zimers did a lot of work down there.
Yeah.
And has the, talking about skateboard ramps and those kinds of things, has the skateboard park, to your knowledge, Neil, been tagged?
Several times.
And then, yeah,
And
basically,
we removed that immediately. They were on, and then the bathrooms are the only place that we have the most graffiti.
and with Susan's point, I'm sorry, we certainly don't want to go too far, and I think that's kind of where Susan's coming from. I mean, I can't imagine us going out and taking looking at each rail train that's parked out there on a switching track and going, ooh, ooh, no. And so, I mean, it can be taken too far and too serious. So I think you have a good feel for that, and hopefully you can go forward.
And the graffiti is gonna be like any of our other code enforcement, it's complaint driven. So if we get the complaints, we will respond. If there are complaints about our property, then, you know, it's a matter of talking to Neil and having that taken care of. But on the private sector, unless we get complaints, we're not gonna be driving around town looking for graffiti by any means, no more than we do normally with the nuisance abatement for trash and that type of stuff. If we see it, we'll address it, try to get cooperation through our efforts with dealing with people and get willing cooperation, and if we can, and it becomes an issue, then we'll be back to see you with a resolution for.
So Terry, you're saying this is preemptive, is that right?
I don't know that it preempts. Are you talking about preempting the graffiti itself?
That it will prevent people from,
No, I don't think we're gonna prevent graffiti.
Okay.
I think all we're doing is, making sure that it's cleaned up in a timely manner and doesn't get left behind. And I think that, I mean, there's potential for, you know, we don't have many anymore, but we did have the zombie houses, the vacant abandoned houses that get vandalized. And, you know, then there's difficulty trying to find owners and get banks involved and all of the garbage that we've had to go through with some of these abandoned properties, nuisance properties. This is just one more thing that we could leverage that cleanup, I think, faster.
okay,
Especially if we had an empty house and somebody painted offensive words on the front of it and it was an empty abandoned house. Well, what are we gonna do about it? Can we do anything about it? We leave it for months and months, or can we, within a time frame that I think is up to you guys to decide, force that to be cleaned up? And I think that's what Councilor Morton was getting at, is when nobody wants to clean it up or take responsibility for it, what do we do as a community to make sure that that is taken care of? And I think that's what you were trying to get at with
Yes.
this whole discussion in the first place.
Okay.
Most people, I think if someone spray painted my house or your car, we'd take care of it, right? But
Right.
there's gonna be those opportunities where it's not gonna get taken care of, and I think we as a community then have some right to say, we want that to be gone, and we wanna do something about it.
Sounds good.
So, just one other
Yeah.
thing, could we possibly maybe start a small slush fund for those cases where maybe, you know, somebody can't afford it or whatever the case would be? 'Cause, I mean, I don't see it happening very often, but we started with put $1,000 a year in there, then down the road, maybe we could take care of something without a whole lot of problems, right? So, just a suggestion.
It seems like our public bathrooms get hit harder than anything, and it's usually the inside. So I would be okay with that.
Well, I mean,
But
not
that's
necessarily
funding our
used
own.
for our own, but for,
Uh,
you know, if the little old lady happened to get hit, or if a business got hit several times and was having an issue, or whatever the case would be.
But I think if they came to us at the time, that we'd find a way to work with them. I don't
Well,
think
that's
we need
true,
to.
but like I say, if we create a little slush fund, then we don't have to worry about where the money comes from.
I'm not.
I'd rather worry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can I-
I think it's a good idea, Keith, but I think it's a little premature at this
Whatever you
time.
want.
Yeah, no, well, whatever.
Since it really seldom
Can I offer
happens.
an opinion on that? If we have a slush fund and people know about it, what's to stop somebody from tagging their own house and saying, I want the city to come and pay my house? So that's my only suggestion, is that it be dealt with on
Very good
a
point.
case-by-case basis of,
Yep.
hey, I can't afford to paint over the graffiti, will you guys help me out? And, you know, $25 per gallon of paint or something. It's devious mind, I guess.
You guys throw something together, bring it back to us. Doesn't sound like it's rocket science, we'll get it.
Okay.
figured
My
out.
house needed painting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, discuss transient room fee rate. John?
Okay, this is something I wanted to introduce, not necessarily take any action today on. And it's come from some observation and communication with other hotel professionals, is that our transient room fee, the rate of that fee was established, well, initially when initially enacted that back in the mid-90s, I think it was, and it really hasn't changed much. And at the time, it was the same as most other communities, kind of the mid, 5, 6, even 7%, and it's really gone unchanged. Looking around the state at other communities that have a lot of things going on in tourism, and those are the fees that come from those charges that are in addition to the hotel rate that's a pass through to the city, are used specifically for tourism activities, and that's defined by the state. That includes some of the tourism things we're doing already, public arts in there, convention space, meeting is things. It's also a qualifying expense. Cities have used those revenues over time, and there was some evolution of the law over time, where cities could only 70% had to go to tourism, 30% could go to administration, was like the split as much as we could charge. That has, we actually gave it all to tourism, 100% of it, so we're more generous than some of our peers. But the average rate now is around 10% across the state, and it's pretty much industry standards, but travel really expected. And I want to look at the council's appetite for moving from our current 7% to 10%. Look at communities like Seaside and like Bend, and they're upwards of 10 to 15%, and they're doing amazing things. They have just robust tourism programs. They're doing all kinds of marketing, attracting a lot of attention to their community. And I think St. Helens is coming into that class of city. The things we're doing.
Well, here's a scenario that you're asking people from out of town to contribute to our community rather than coming back and taxing our own community. Other than the hotel owners might tell you different, but I doubt it. But I've got to remember as well that because in that sense it's a positive for the way I'm thinking, a big positive. But I've got to recall as well is at our budget committee meeting, our last one, the committee recommended to the council that the council recommend to the staff to look for new avenues of revenue. And that was mandated by our budget committee. So with that in mind, I'm keeping a very much an open mind to your proposal.
What do you think, Councilor Locke? I know you got something on this.
No, I mean, all the other cities are charging up, so we just will too. Everybody expects it nowadays. Some cities charge up to 20%.
Councilor
I guess
Carlson?
I would wanna see us to look at comparable, having traveled more in the last few years, and that we're not comparable with Bend or Seaside, but, we are comparable with some others, and I am paying 9 and 10 everywhere. Even little podunk towns that have nothing going on except for 3 hotels and a pool, it's 9%. But, just to make sure that we're comparable, it's kind of cost of living for the events that we're doing. Considering it started at 7 and we did almost nothing, and now we're getting them out of the park and still trying to do it on 7. I think that a cost of living or cost of doing business raises in order, whether that percent is 9, 10, or whatever that number is. I think we need to do maybe a little more homework of what number that is.
Councilor Cohen?
I think this is a good direction. I think that in all things, we need to be comparable.
So I'm gonna weigh in and say that I think, what key point you made to me, John, what struck out to me was we put 100% of it back into tourism. It benefits them. Really, I mean,
Yes.
it gives people a reason to be out here renting a room. So I would like to see you bring us back something on that. It sounds like that's the census of the whole council.
Okay, we can certainly do that. I did talk with a hotel a group of hotel locating professional site development, people that are really on the other side of the issue as far as coming to the city, and they're very much advocates for higher rates because they realize what it does for communities. It gives them more tools to do events, do their promotions and activities that they benefit from. They fully see it.
Appreciate that kicking back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be happy to bring something forward to a future meeting.
Okay, thank you. Man, we are moving right along. Discuss possible
Keep it going.
topics and dates, locations for council retreat. We have been talking about this for a couple months and it keeps coming back up and then gets pushed away, that we all know we need a retreat and some topics to discuss. Actually, that shouldn't be too much of an issue. You can always find, we've got plenty of stuff going on with the city to have things to discuss. So ideas now of retreat location and topics.
Somewhere that isn't here. I think we need to remove ourselves from our usual concerns here. And I think it contributes to objectivity.
I like that idea. What time frame are we looking like?
That would be important.
October? Do we want to do it in October? I mean, that's a busy month for this whole city.
Yeah, October would be hard.
Yeah. We don't know. November?
November 8th, which is a Wednesday. After Election Day. I would have a lot to talk about then.
For sure.
And so, Susan, where do you want to go? What's you don't want to stay in town? Is that what you?
In town would be okay, but if off of this premises, I think.
Out of City Hall?
Yeah,
Out of
not
City
in a
Hall.
city building,
Yes.
Okay.
because we've done it on the Boise property, we've done it at the library. It's just like, maybe if we're out of the city building, it seems like there's a little more relaxed atmosphere, it's a little bit removed from the everyday grind.
I think we have to look into what the possibilities are.
So, expenditures, there are public meeting buildings available. The PUD There's other buildings around that will facilitate us, I believe. But some of those are at a cost.
There's the soil building, there's the OSU extension office. The soil building's beautiful.
It is, it's very nice.
And I don't think they charge other government agencies to use it.
What building?
The soil building?
Some water conservation,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
used to be the Grange.
Yeah, I don't think they charge governments to use it or nonprofits.
That might be fun.
Yeah, that's it. It's a nice building.
Can we see if it's about, is that Wednesday, November 8th, a good date for
Yeah.
everyone?
Well,
Yeah, this far out, I mean, I can arrange anything this far out.
Okay. So John, would you like to spearhead that? Or I shouldn't ask if you would like to, would you?
Of course, I will. If there are specific agenda items that we have,
That was the next question.
Hmm.
Can we get to you with agenda items as we progress? So we can talk about some right now.
Mhm. I think a hot one is waterfront, of course, you know. I know that we have a possibility of developer, maybe we'll have more information by then. It's a hot topic, you know, part of the whole works.
Timelines and update reports and any issues with our lease with Cascade Tissue.
That's a good one too, Doug.
Don't we need to be careful what we're doing because it's a retreat, not a public meeting, so we can't make
We
decisions.
won't make
No, we
decisions.
can't make decisions, but we can discuss things.
We need to be informed.
We need to talk about the whole mill property.
I'm sure things will occur to us over the
I
next
mean,
month.
we'll be able to start really talking about our renewal for about a year from now, right, John? I mean, it's gonna take a while for that. I mean, is there things we should be talking about?
there's some administrative aspects to the agency as far as the bylaw adoption but like the point you bring up, there's certainly some time, we're not gonna be spending any.
Yeah.
Some projects are gonna be funded relatively soon out of it.
I like to refer to staff too as a resource, and if staff has any concerns about issues that we should know about or that we should be more informed with or research a bit, I certainly extend the invitation to staff to either in your staff meetings or now tell us. I mean, it's like, might be very awkward to tell us now, but in your staff meetings, I think it might be good to get to John and give him some hints of what we can work with. I think that's a tremendous resource sitting over there on that side. Hate to see that go untapped for ideas.
About facilities, we've talked in the past about using our space differently and utilizing some of the space over on the white paper property. Maybe we could talk about our various properties and how maybe we could maximize their use.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. We have a lot of different possibilities. I'd like to also talk about our signage out front of that Boise property, Cascade Tissue.
Mhm.
We have discussed that a little bit in council meetings, work sessions. But we definitely need to get that ball rolling because it is, we need to pick a name, official name with signage on it and have that front area cleaned up a little bit, that flower bed area where the sign is currently right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that property is ready for potential business to come in any point in time. 204 acres down there.
Yeah.
So
And
long
we can discuss
range,
marketing too.
long range and short range plans for our city-owned property. That's, you know, we just need to talk about it.
Talk about potential marketing for it too.
So is there a time of day for the meeting? How much time do you want to commit to it? 'Cause you could easily.
4 hours.
Wow, we've got
Assume by
that
any
on
one
our
of those
list.
topics,
Six
it's
hours.
gonna take up a lot of time there, so
Any one of those could take 4 hours.
that's my point.
I
What do
think,
you- Go ahead.
I was gonna say like 10 to 3. Have a lunch in there. Is that enough time?
Well, we can always extend it if we have
I mean,
to.
we
If we
usually
go-
talk
go from
around
10 to
food.
Go 10 to 3, then we can always
Go to 4.
extend it if we have to.
I think
Everybody
I
good with that?
think there's enough for a pretty solid outline to begin that. I can send it around if there's additions or deletions. You can-
Yeah, we definitely got time. November 8th is iron out the details.
And this far ahead, chances are good getting to the place that we want to meet to.
Okay. Any more discussion on that? Okay, department reports. Terry?
I think the only thing that is new this week, maybe to the council, is that we're doing an upgrade to the alarm system for City Hall, for lack of better terms, the panic alarm system. And with the upgrades, we'll be enhancing the service to include the library, police department, and public works. And that install is going to take place next Tuesday. And that's all I have.
You know, I didn't know what this white button was for about 2 months. Finally, I asked somebody, they said, don't ever push that unless there's an emergency.
That should have been in your new
Good
mayor
thing-
orientation.
I know, good thing I didn't just press a button because I like pressing buttons. At least my wife tells me that.
You've been done before.
Especially when somebody says don't press it.
Sue?
We still have a contractor out paving this week. They should be wrapping up by next week. And then earlier today, I had a meeting with the Columbia County Road Department and the selected consultant for the Gable Road project to work out a scope of work. It's not a final deal with them yet, but we're working on the scope for the project, and they have done several projects with the same exact type of description as far as the road widening, bicycle lane, sidewalk, right-of-way acquisition, and everything. So they seem very familiar with going through this whole process, and we're excited to get it rolling.
So if you, as long as you're talking about paving, I got a few remarks, kind of my way, asking why the blacktop on First Street here, that it doesn't go sidewalk to sidewalk, and I tried my best to, go along with future plans of like doing the whole entire thing might be right around the corner. But can you express in your best way why the blacktop goes not from sidewalk to sidewalk, but is covering just the area pretty much the vehicles travel on?
Vehicle travel lanes, yes. And you're exactly right. We do hope within a few years' time that we'll be able to redo the whole roadway, including the sidewalks downtown. But we need to wait until we have some sort of a comprehensive design standard for the full downtown area, including the Boise property. So it's all cohesive throughout the downtown area, including new street lighting, aesthetics. Is there going to be stamped concrete, pavers, colored concretes? Just there's a lot of design aspects. However, this roadway down here, for the people who drive it every single day are very familiar with, was ready to fall apart. And this last winter just took a horrible toll on it. And if we go through another winter like that, this road was just gonna disintegrate. So we put a very thin layer of asphalt on it to keep it going for a few years until we can redo everything and do it all nice and get it. We'll do intersection improvements, pedestrian improvements, the whole 9 yards. But until we know what that needs to look like to make this whole downtown area one nice downtown, it would have been premature to invest that type of funding.
And the individuals who were motivated to ask me were also asked if there were cracks or the crumbling areas in crosswalks, and in those areas, will they be repaired? And I said yes, without a doubt.
If there's something that's a trip hazard, we'd have to go back and look at that. I'm
Yeah.
not aware of anything specifically other than the ones that we corrected up at the intersection at St. Helens Street and First Street there. We went through the intersection in that location. But yeah, if we're made aware of anything specific within a
I can
crosswalk
tell you
area,
what-
then we can absolutely.
I can tell you
go
where
look at that.
specifically this person is talking
Okay.
about. I'll do that individually with you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, appreciate it. I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. It looks very good out there. We appreciate that.
It's better than it was. It might last another winter or two.
Okay, Neil?
Well, I don't know if everybody knows, but the stairway that goes from the Boise property up Knoxville Park is completed now.
Nice.
Got done. I don't know if any of you had any complaints, but the North Sand Island dock where the ramp goes out to the island itself was really deteriorating and rotting out and become dangerous. And Roger repaired that yesterday. So if you got any complaints about it, tell them it's in the things. That's all I have.
Thanks, Neil. Margaret?
I have two things, and they're both happening on Thursday, September 21st. I just wanted you to get them on your radar. The first one is the Arts and Cultural Commission is having their formal ribbon cutting ceremony at 6 o'clock for the Salmon Tree Cycle sculpture. And that event will be in the parking lot of the vet's office that's there on Furlock Boulevard, just next to the Dollar Tree. And that will involve parking behind the Dollar Tree, and then there's going to be help with traffic control to get you across Furlock to the parking lot, because that's going to come at a kind of a busy time with people coming home from work. There will be, as before, when the other sculpture was dedicated, a speaker and light refreshments. And so it's open to the public, and formal invitations went out to invited guests and dignitaries. So if you haven't received yours, look for it. And again, that's Thursday, September 21st at 6 o'clock. That's coming right before a library program that we had planned further in advance, and so I'm going to try to be in two places at once. But we have a library program starting at 7 that same evening, and it's the first of 4 installments. It's going to happen over the course of a year, and it's called Civics for Adults. And the first installment is misinformation, fake news, and political propaganda. And these are nonpartisan workshops. They're being led by a woman who has a master's in teaching and a master's in library science, and she teaches these workshops all over the Portland area in libraries, Multnomah County, Washington County libraries. And she in this first one, she's going to use real-world examples to help people learn to become their own fact checkers. And she's going to use examples where charts and graphs and word choices can make all the difference in how you may initially interpret that. And so that goal of that one is to make you a more savvy consumer of information. There's going to be 3 more. One is on citizen activism, and that's going to happen in February. And that will occur while the legislature is in session. And it's going to have an opportunity for you to better know how to make your voice known in Salem. She's talking about there are some new tools for getting your words, your opinion to legislators. And the third one is going to be on the influence of the Constitution on political conversation. That'll happen in April. And the final one will be in September of 2018, and that's going to be about voting, specifically about elections and campaign financing. And that will happen, of course, just prior to the midterms. So we think the timing of these is particularly fortunate, and we're really looking forward to getting a diverse group of citizens to participate. It will be very relaxed and civil. We're going to have it in the library as we do our conversation projects, where we push the computers aside and put in comfortable chairs and sit around and grapple with some of these topics. If you can attend all of them, that's great. If you can only come to a few, that's fine too. There's no pre-registration required. But I'm just really excited to see this happen. I feel like it's very timely.
Are all those on Thursday evening at 7?
Yes.
Thanks.
So that's all I have for today.
Thanks, Margaret. Matt?
I have 3 items that I'm just looking for a general consensus from the council. The first one is, as most of you know, the court department has been closed on Fridays for the last several months in an effort to try and get caught back up after everything. We've definitely made a lot of changes over there, and I was told this last week that we can probably anticipate probably in sometime between October and November timeframe being 100% caught up, which is something that hasn't happened, I guess, for the last 8-10 years in the court department. So we're definitely making some huge strides, but what I'd like to recommend is that we reopen the court department on Fridays to increase the service level, allow patrons to come in, make payments at the court department window. Currently, they can only make payments at the utility billing window, so this gives them another option to not wait in line. There's somebody over there. So I would just be looking for a general consensus that you are okay with increasing the service levels. It will not increase anything as far as cost-wise, because the employees are still there 5 days a week. Right, the general consensus to reopen on Fridays?
Yeah, because it's happened where people haven't been able to pay.
Correct.
I know that you said that the utility bills take the money, but on a Friday, just lo and behold, that I actually happened to be here when they walked in.
And that particular customer, even if they went over to the court department, that particular
There was
customer...
actually 2 of them though.
Okay,
That was
you told me about one.
Yes, one was actually in collections already,
Correct.
but there was another one. Yep. Yeah. So I think we got money coming here that ain't going in there on Fridays.
Okay.
Well, if the purpose of closing on Fridays was to catch up, and we've caught up, then that makes sense.
Yeah. Great, thank you. The other thing I'd like to throw out is I'm starting to have a little bit of staffing issues as far as physical people being here in the building for my utility billing and court department as well. If you don't know, I have 3 people in utility billing. We have 1 person in courts, and then 1 person who's a legal assistant to the prosecutor. On Mondays and Tuesdays, one of my utility billing staff members go over to court to cover, while the clerk is in the court sessions Monday and Tuesdays. So that leaves me 1 person short on Mondays and Tuesdays. On Wednesday, I have Jamie coming over to the City Hall offices to help with building and business licenses. What I'd like to try and discuss amongst the departments and work with John a little bit and come back with you possibly in October with a couple ideas of ways to become more efficient over there, and that may include up to combining court and utility billing into one department so that I can have a staffing level in one area for a certain amount of time. And we also have one employee that's going to be going on maternity leave in the next couple months, so that brings up another staffing level issue. So what I'd like to do is kind of explore the option with staff and talk about it, and then talk with John, and then possibly come back with some options of what I may recommend, or come back with you with some ideas of how we can improve some of the a little bit better efficiencies. And look
That
at
would
the
include efficiencies in the front office where
It
sometimes
likely will if it means that Jamie wouldn't come over. So that's it's another talking point that I would like to kind of come back with you, if you're okay with me coming back in October or November with some ideas.
I am concerned with having that well-staffed. That's first introduction people have to us.
Correct. Is that okay with council?
It is, but Jamie's really utilized over here right now in the building department.
I completely understand. With utility billing, who is hopefully in January or so, going to be moving over to monthly billing, along with all of the trips that we have to do for mail, as well as.
Is it just the system that's set up different right now, Matt? Is that why we have two separate areas? Why the
For
water?
utility billing in court?
Yes.
I believe that's just the way the building was set up at the time. And at the time, I'm sure it made sense to have everything very separated.
Because part of the phone call was, we're utility billing, we're not courts. We can't do that right now.
Ouch.
We can't take money right now.
That could probably, I don't know this situation particularly, but if that is the case,
That
that's
is
definitely a
exactly what
problem.
the case was.
That's definitely a problem I want to
Yes,
solve. So
yes,
that's
yes.
why I'm asking if you're okay if I come
Yeah.
back and at a later time with some ideas of how we can do it in a more we can improve the efficiency in a cost-effective manner.
Yes.
Okay. The last thing I have for you is a request that I received from the personal representative for the estate for Violet's Villa. They are close to closing on a sale for the property. And I got a call from their personal representative that they are requesting a lower amount payoff on the lien that is currently on that property. I'm not sure if you remember or not, but I can give you a brief history. They have an unpaid utility bill from many years ago, started back in 2011, 2012. The amount that was put over onto a lien was $28,000 as the amount owed. Since 2012, we charge looks like a 6% interest. That fee now, as of June 30 of this last year, a couple months ago, is now $38,900 that they owe. The personal representative is requesting for the city to accept $15,000 as a payoff for the amount. That was just their initial request. From talking with him, he just was requesting that lower amount because without lowering that amount, the estate does not make very much, if any. I don't know what the sale of the property is or what is owed on it.
Now, is there a couple different chunks to that property? Or is this the bulk of the chunk of the property that's frontage by because I know there is a couple different chunks to that property.
As far as I'm aware, it is the whole property.
It's probably all chunks, yeah.
It's all chunks.
Because all chunks constituted the old part.
Because Brent, who's been here before, has a different chunk than the rest of the park. Is that correct? Anybody?
Yes.
Okay. So we're talking the bulk of the park and the back. The bulk of the park is what is the current sale that we're talking about, right?
Yeah, pretty much what's vacant now.
Yes.
There are some properties along McBride that do have some single-family dwellings, one of which is owned by Brent.
Yes.
And
so I just want to know, but the chunk we're talking about, and it's 28,000 originally, and they want to pay 15.
28,000 is what the amount was owed when it was turned over as a lien.
Why are they any different than anybody else?
That's why I say I would bring the request to the council, and I said nothing yes or no. So
maybe interest, but boy, that's really I don't even agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, we've held it all this time.
do you want to come back with a different offer, or do you want to stick at the 28, or do you want to stick at the current one with interest, which is the 38, almost 39,000?
39,000.
Yeah.
The 38,900 is what I would tell if it was anybody else, because
Yeah.
it proves the interest for the time being. So, but I wanted to make sure, because I didn't want to be the reason that it's.
And the reason
It's been put off. for
And
a
the
long
reason
time.
I base this off of is I recall when Randy was here running the meetings, there was a crippled guy who came in who had leased PG&E property, and I think you guys only could forgive 1,000, and his was way up there too. And you know,
Different
different scenario, but it was only up to $1,000. I mean, he owed a pretty good chunk of change too.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be fair. Gotta stay consistent.
I agree, but that's why I'm bringing it to you, to make sure
Gotta stay consistent.
you're all in.
Yeah, stay solid and treat all our citizens alike. That's, be consistent.
Will do. That's all I have.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, counselors' reports. Counselor Locke. Oh, sorry. Kathy? Then John?
I don't have anything.
Hey, I'm ready to jump ahead. All right, John.
Okay, yeah, I do have a couple things. One of them is an interest from at least some of the members of the Scappoose City Council that have interest in having a joint meeting. And I talked with their city manager, Michael Sykes, on potential dates, and one that looked, at least as far as city perspective calendars go, October 10th looked like it might be a decent day to meet on. As far as time and a place, or even interest in having a meeting, that's up to you all. And,
So that would be in the evening?
it could be wherever and whenever you want. So,
I couldn't do it during the day, but I could do it during the evening.
the thrust of the meeting would be to discuss issues of common interest. It wouldn't be a business meeting for the normal, this kind of business, city business.
Talk about our common
Partnership.
goals.
Possibly House Bill 4079 as well.
That could very well be, yeah. So, it doesn't sound like it's a
October
terrible
10th?
idea.
No, that's
We need to do it sooner or later too.
When is it?
October 10th. So we have the retreat on the 8th and this on the 10th. It's gonna be a busy
A week.
October.
And to figure out a place to have it too, somewhere.
Oh, that's right.
Perhaps.
We're having November.
November retreat.
Yes, please, because
And maybe the Scappoose Bay, it might be big enough to have a joint meeting with,
where?
I'm just thinking of potential places to have
Place.
The Soul Building,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
available.
That's big enough.
Which?
Soul Building.
Soil and water again?
So,
Okay.
I don't know if it's available, but we can check. Yeah, I'll send out and there's another side, the other, Scappoose has to confirm as well, and we'll come up with locations.
Okay.
So, yeah, other than that, the spirit of Halloween is in full on organizing, logistics, all the events and activities, and all the moving parts. This year's really gonna, I think, prove to be even better than the last few. Better organized, more events, spread out, new and fresh things, and I think should do great. The bringing on a community liaison has just been a wonderful success. Stephanie Patterson's done a great job providing that buffer in between the public and the more operational aspects of the event, and to give her, Ms. Patterson, up close and front row seat to all the how much work really is involved in all of this. So the Halloween is in. We're hoping for the council's concurrence to do a combined fall-winter gazette. At this point, the organization of the gazette, getting it produced, is going to come out about the time, into November probably. Which will be time for the winter gazette. And Crystal's feeling pretty overwhelmed, and she has a fair amount of well-earned vacation to take this month, so she's going to have limited capacity.
Does she have recommendations on that being a quarterly to a semi-annual kind of thing in terms of, especially in terms of costs or in terms of staff time, is there, has she talked about that at all?
Not specifically to this. I mean, we still do the, you know,
Newsletter.
the newsletters, all the other things is just this Gazette that has a lot of organization with all the counselors' input,
Mhm.
putting stories together, whatever community projects are going on. It's council's desire to do less or more, then we can adjust resources accordingly, but
So,
we're feeling a little bit
What-
pinched right now.
What if we try it out with doing the Fall and Winter Gazette, see?
I know a few years ago, we took a survey on how many read the Gazette and the newsletters. Why don't we do that again so that we have some input on this?
Yeah, my own personal standpoint is that the public's attention span is minimal, and people are just not doing paper as much. And Crystal's doing the Twitter and the Facebook and the newsletter and press releases, and people are into instant gratification. I think these big newspapers, journals, magazines are kind of shrinking and going by the wayside, and being more reactionary, it's very hard to produce something that you turn it all in September and have it still be meaningful on November 1st. So I totally support a twice a year or 3 times a year or whatever to look at that, at least for now. Let her combine the two and maybe look at it for the first of the year and see how often we want to do that.
Yeah, I'd like to look at the results of the survey, because I know there are a lot of people that do read the Gazette because they say so. So I wouldn't want to eliminate a means of communication with the public without.
I want to make sure that it was
Some
meaningful
statistics.
for her time, because I doubt it's 10,000.
Crystal, just so you know, Crystal just emailed me and said that she's on board with doing it semi-annually.
Okay. I think the
Okay.
semi-annual that Councilor Morton suggested might be worth a try, and a survey and just get community input is both valid too.
Okay.
She's just putting a lot out there right now.
Keith, you okay with that, or do you think we could
I'd like
go
to-
semi-annual and then go get the results of the report out, or the
I mean,
recommendations?
we
from-
need to change the next publication for whatever reasons, whatnot.
Right.
It's fine with me, but why don't we wait until we see the survey first to make the
Yeah.
decision?
I agree.
Because I do know at the time, last time we did the survey, it was the most read article in the city, so, the paper, so, anyway.
So on a separate note,
So what are we doing?
I
What's
mean,
what's the
They
recommendation?
say if you wanna combine this next two, that's fine with me,
Mhm.
yeah.
And that was the question.
And then go with the survey?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So ask Crystal to do that in the next one? How do we do a survey?
Well, we can lead into it with this combined Gazette. Go
Okay,
into it and give us plenty of time up until spring,
got it.
through the winter and spring, and we can make that decision then.
Just as long as there's clarity to the staff. Thank you.
so on a separate note, but kind of similar, is that there is a video that was produced by a PSU student that actually Crystal has an email, and I don't know if you guys have had the chance to see it yet. I just seen it today. It was emailed to me. Very short, quaint, nice little video. I will ask her to address it to you guys
About what?
because
About what?
about St. Helens. It was, so we have been in the talks with Brian Trenchard-Smith, who is a producer from LA,
Mhm.
who is working with a professor at PSU, who has offered the ability to have students out here because it'll benefit them because they get the credits of putting these films together.
Okay.
And it's really beneficial to the city, and they're actually really nice. This one looks like a really nice
Yeah, I
video.
would like to see it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so that's something that me and Crystal have been working on for quite some time. So, and they're for Facebook in particular, you don't want them any longer than a minute and a half. You want to keep them short and sweet. So,
So it's be a series.
Halloween Town, yes, there'll be all kinds of stuff coming down the pipe. He also, this guy also hooked Tina up with a actress that's going to be here for Halloween Town too. So we had met him at the Brandon Wayfinding, remember, Keith?
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, I just want to bring that up, so you guys do, and I'll have her forward it to you. Hey, council reports. Are you done?
Well, I was gonna say, Kathy could probably put it up on the screen if you wanna see it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, while you're having
Sure.
reports, you can put it on it.
We
have the
How
technology.
do I get to it?
Going to my email.
I'll send
Or
it,
Crystal's?
I'll send it to you. I
Okay.
actually know. I'll try and send it to you.
Okay, John's gonna send it to her while he's doing that. Councilor Locke?
So it's all,
Another thing I'd like to talk about today, and we don't have to make a decision this afternoon, but I'd like to make a decision tonight. We've talked several times about the intersection at St. Helens and First Street, about not being able to see around the corner and having issues with traffic control and all that type of stuff. And
Right up here in the corner?
yeah, and so we've talked about changing parking spots and all that kind of stuff and whatnot. And since then, I've had several people talk to me about it. And I think the one thing that would maybe solve all the issues with speed and parking and everything would be to make that into a four-way stop at that intersection. And so I'd like to have you guys think about that until tonight, so I'll bring the motion up tonight. And then also the intersection at Cowlitz and First, which is a three-way stop right now, which is kind of confusing for everybody. So,
yes, it is.
but we just make that into a four-way stop also.
Can we get staff input on that, Public Works, right at this point, so
Sure.
everyone understands ramifications or
Right,
any
yeah.
problems or anything?
I'm not sure that either of those places would warrant a four-way stop, so we would need to look at what the requirements are. We can't just go up and put stop signs up where we feel they would benefit. They have to meet certain criteria. We have to follow the state rules. So I'm not sure that either of those would, and I'm not sure that we would have the ability, or the council would have the ability to make that decision and override the state requirements.
Well, certainly we couldn't override the requirements, but would it be possible for you to check into that?
Well, I can absolutely check into it, but I doubt very much I'm gonna be able to provide the correct information for you this evening.
I'm good with that if you're
Next,
checking.
are you okay with next meeting?
Sure. Why not? Yeah.
Kathy, could we put that on for next meeting then?
I'm sorry, I was doing the video, what are we?
I'm sorry.
Well,
I just wanted to go, I just didn't want that to
Discussion
go
of
away.
a four-way stop. Yeah.
Keith has
I
two
can send you
suggestions
another
on
That'll
four-way
go over
stops,
real well.
and it's just gonna check into it.
So that ought to go over real well.
First and St. Helens.
Four-way stop.
First in Cowlitz.
There are a lot of
Oh,
people
First and
like it.
Cowlitz?
There's two of them.
Downtown.
First and St. Helens and
No,
First and Cowlitz?
and everywhere.
Was First in St. Helens too?
Cowlitz?
I know it was
Cowlitz.
First in
First in
Cowlitz,
Helens.
but what was the other one?
First and St. Helens.
Okay.
So we're just waiting for Kathy to get that. Did you ever get any pushback over on 6th Street when we took that from a three-way? It was very awkward with coming up 6th Street. There was no stop and you could do a left turn there. Did you ever get any pushback when we did make that a four-way by chance from any citizens or anyone? Seemed to me like it was.
I don't recall any major negative pushback or.
Yeah.
I know I ran the stop sign a few times, so I got used to it.
We put up some temporary signage in advance, stop ahead, et cetera.
Well, what
Have
helped,
people,
what helped
change.
particularly with that one
Pay
too
to see
was
you.
the big old bump out curve there, that flower bed.
When you realize.
That
Oh my
helped
gosh.
tremendously.
Yeah. There was physical improvements with that one,
Yeah.
and that was a fairly spendy thing to do with that bump out on the one side.
Kathy, did you get it? Okay.
Ready?
Oh,
That's the roof.
okay.
Crystal's here.
I saw it playing, so I want to turn in here. So a couple points. This is one of a series of videos that they're making right now. I will be gone starting this Friday, but Jenny's going to take lead on kind of coordinating it while I'm out. So this one is geared more towards Portland-based community, obviously. They're going to work on doing some colorization, so it's not finished yet. We want some changes to the end credit as far as like matching our font and changing the color a little bit. But I think they look pretty good.
I do too.
That's what I thought. That's why I mentioned it. I just got your email this morning and looked at it. I was like, this is
I
great.
saw Walla Walla has a beautiful one out that's being promoted on social media right now. It's like, why don't we have one of those?
Yeah.
And then I come here and
I think one of the ones that they're going to be producing next will be tourism event focused. So 4th of July. I know Brian was there for our picnic in the park, Halloween Town, 13 Nights. And coincidentally, our CGI videos that were produced, they've contacted us again to redo those and update them. So when I'm back in early October, I'll be working with that company to update our videos on that platform as well.
Nice.
We like the icons that are in the background in this. The courthouse continually shows up.
The river.
You know, the rivers continually shows up.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really, I think that's really a good attempt and really a good thing to have.
So I have a quick question, and I see Tina's here as well. So we have that Maui is going to be coming out here for Halloween Town. Is that correct? He's the guy from iHeartRadio that said they were willing to do a live broadcast out here if we give him a motel room. Do you still have his number? And if you don't, I do.
No, Crystal's working with him directly.
Okay.
So the last time I contacted him, to my understanding, and I still need to make a reservation for a brunch package, but he was under the impression that, and we have reserved the hotel rooms, but that it would be a package that they would advertise to their listeners, that they would offer like a VIP package on the radio that they would heavily promote in September to be able to come to Halloween Town on October 14th. But I don't think they would be here, from my last conversation with him,
Okay.
they wouldn't be here broadcasting live, but they'd be promoting it in September for people to call in to win a package to come here.
Okay. Because he told me that was his wife's favorite holiday, and that he's heard his brother-in-law's been here for Halloween Town, and that if we bought a motel room, he would be out. He
I
would.
mean, we reserved 2, so we
Yeah.
have 2 set aside for that.
I can try calling him again.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let me know when you're here.
So I just wanted to bring that up, just because I think that was very interesting, and it can coincide with what's going on. A lot going on with Halloween Town, so.
We do, yeah. We've I've heard from Como News out of Seattle that plans to be down here for October 14th. KGW has contacted us to do a promo of it earlier on, like in early October, in time that they can run it to promote October 14th. Andy Carson wants to do a fall weather promo in Halloween Town, kind of like a spooky, foggy weather promo for Fox 12. So we're getting good feedback from TV media. In addition to obviously like online and print media.
Yep. Yeah, Tina would like to approach. Is that okay, you guys? I know we're in council's reports, but.
I just want to give you guys a little update about what's going on. I'm over at the new Tina Curry Consulting. So what we have done in the past 2 weeks, there's been a lot of motion within Halloween Town and what we're doing. And we have a lot of new people that are involved and groups that are involved. The middle school or the elementary school is now also doing a harvest festival. We have a flash mob that's planned for students that's being organized in the street for 2 days. It's going to be awesome. We just today announced that Sophie is going to join the
Nice.
family, so we have the entire family now
Wow.
coming for the pumpkin lighting. And, everything that goes along with that. And the, museum is now been relocated to the Masonic Ballroom, and it is awesome. The room itself is spectacular, and so that worked out, you know, really well. And Stephanie is coordinating the museum and some of the props. And I brought a picture of one of them for you guys to see, so you can kind of see what the, this is one of the props that's going to be in the museum. And he was the first creature of this variety that had a business in Halloween Town. And his boutique is called Yes Beer.
You better be careful because it is hunting season.
Yeah, life expectancy.
So we have some really awesome props that are going to be in the museum. And the shuttle is going to be running still from the corner of CrossFit up to Holton Bakery will be the drop-off point. Any store that wants to participate in the coin challenge, there's no charge for them to do that. We plan on having the shuttle run basically 24/7, Monday through Sunday. And so if they're open, they can choose to, you know, flip their switch and be on and be a part of the coin challenge. And the return coins are picked up at Skinny's Texaco as people are leaving town. So it's perfect. They can drive pretty much the coverage of the whole town with what we've got going on. And we had a really great meeting with the emergency management and Chief Moss and Neil and everybody else. As far as the parking and just being prepared for the number of people that are coming, we think that there's going to be, we'll be at maximum capacity this year. So I just wanted to let you guys know what's going on as far as the new redo of the museum building. And we just got super lucky that, you know, that Masonic temple is open.
It's right here, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very lucky. Yeah.
So I've been cleaning, that's why I look like this. But anyway, we're looking forward to that and some new photo ops with Sophia that is now joining the others. And there's still some more surprises in store. So we'll see what happens.
Nice.
But yeah. And I got a hold of Brian Trenchard, and I'm hoping that Diane Franklin will be able to lead the Little Spooks Parade as our
That'd be cool.
person of honor. That would be super neat.
Yes.
So anyway, does anyone have any questions? I think everyone's kind of up to speed. Okay, thank you.
Good work. Okay, so we're gonna pick up where we left off. Keith, were you done?
Yes.
Okay. Councilor Carlson?
After the hiatus, I'll be back. I stopped by. I don't know if people noticed how hot it was this last weekend when it was not fit for a human being to be outside. And I just wanted to publicly thank Natasha Harvey, her husband, Judy Thompson, and Eddie Dunton and their family. Strangers on the street stopped and they said, you ladies look like you need help. And they've been out there painting hundreds of hours on that building. And I just wanted to publicly say that we have a lot of really great, the chamber building got repainted, and most of it got painted all in one day, but because that building is a 3-tone paint job, they have been hand painting all of that trim and all of the damage and filling. And I mean, it was 100, and they were out there working their way on the shady side all the way around that building.
And there were a few other volunteers too.
Yeah, I mean, they were the ones that are out there with paint buckets, taking everybody, giving them water, giving them bandanas, and giving them lots of kudos. But we just have a lot of really great folks in our community, and just wanted to notice all the work that they do. The other thing is I'm working with volunteers at Riverside to do a lot of people know about St. Helens Rocks, the love rocks that kids find in the park and whatever, and we're gonna be working with Keep It Local and a local Boy Scout troop to do Halloween themed rocks for kids to find. It's free, you know, they'll just be here, there, and everywhere, just so there'll be something, other things that don't require admission, don't require you to shop, other stuff for locals, non-locals, just another little Halloween surprise. It's kind of fun. The other thing I had was Saturday, September 23rd, Scappoose is putting on that suicide prevention walk, which everybody's invited to come out and participate. That's really great thing for our community and support and do that together. I also wanted to, in case people didn't see the press release, Chief Moss is committed to having an officer with Youth Council, and they're very excited about that. Officer Coy is going to be participating with Youth Council now, working on fostering those relationships in our youth community. Really is a great outreach for our young people. The other thing, just I'm happy Matt brought that up about staffing. I've been thinking about the month of October, whether it would be feasible or whether the council wanted to think about or just put it out there, whether it would warrant having a temp to help. That front desk out there where Crystal and Heidi are is crazy any day, and the month of October, I don't know how they're gonna get their regular job done with all that goes on.
Good suggestion.
And I just wanna see, you know, I know the budget doesn't take another person, but is there a way that we can help those ladies out to where we give good customer service, and we put our best face forward, and still get our daily work done to the building department, permit department, the court department, and get our water bills processed? Because it's a lot. Each year it's a little bit worse or better, depending on who you are. It's crazy down here. Any hour of the day you come through here and that front door is open nonstop, and they still have to do their work. So I just want to look at how we can help support them in, you know, still wanting to work here after November 1st. So October is crazy down here, and with the big family and events happening all month long, it's not just one big weekend. It's going to be 1 month. So that's all I have. Oh, one other thing. Main Street Conference is the 1st of October. I know we don't have a Main Street coordinator this year, but Main Street event is in Oregon City. And I don't know, John had talked to, he might look at the schedule and see if it warranted having someone go there because of what Oregon City's going through with their brownfield redevelopment and stuff. If there's things that we're interested in, networking, if there's something there. That's all I have.
Who's the name of their?
You haven't seen Oregon Main Street and what it used to be and what it is now and what it potentially is in the future. There's a lot of parallels to our communities too.
Was that Eric Underwood? Is that, what's that his name that we sat with at the table? Right?
I think so, yeah.
Yep. Let's see, city manager from Oregon City.
It's the first Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of October. 4th, 5th, and 6th. The deadline to sign up for the whole conference is the 15th of September. But because it's just Oregon City, it's not like you have to have hotel or stuff. You can just look at the itinerary. And that's kind of what I did when I was in Astoria. And I did that when I was at Minville. I just looked at the calendar and picked the best day. And I got a lot out of it and learned a lot. It really helped me. It was the first year I was on council, and I did the historic landmarks and a bunch of stuff. And really helpful to learn a little bit more about the process of what Main Street and historic and how that all comes together. And being just Oregon City, it's not a huge commute, and it's parallel to what we're doing here. And they have good beer.
Is that part of the conference?
Whether you're driving back or not.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Councilor Khan?
Yeah, I want to go back to the Out of Darkness walk that Jenny was talking about, and it's sponsored by the Scappoose Police, as she said, raising funds for suicide prevention, and I'm going to be out there, and I would challenge all of you to join me. This is going to be my longest walk since I threw in my cane, so I might need you. As I mentioned before, there are a number of committees meeting, library committees meeting to work on their strategic plan, and I sat in on a library facilities committee, which was a walkthrough. They're trying to find They're working on finding inexpensive solutions to the visual and space issues, and I want to remind you that the library is stretched for space. A lot happens there, we have a lot of activities, and there's not much room. So just keep that in the back of your minds. CIT training, the next one is happening October 9th through 13th. I'm doing the snacks again, and I would like to ask the council to again give me a budget of $300 to do the snacks while we train our first responders, our police, to handle incidents more safely that involve mental health crisis.
I think that's money well spent.
I'll second that.
I'll third that.
Go for it.
Is that at the Meriwether Place again?
No, this time it's going to be at the roads department in their conference room, which is, they have a very nice arrangement. It's like a classroom with all of the audio visual capability. So they're going to let us use that.
Super.
Hey, anything else?
That's it.
Okay, Councilor Morton.
Well, I'd like to follow up on Jenny's report and see if we can get the staff to get us some certificates for appreciation for what the individuals did with the painting of the chamber building. I think that because that's kind of an icon to the entryway of our city, and I think it's important, and I think that they should be recognized. Maybe we can bring them down here, give them certificates of appreciation prior to one of our meetings or whatever. But I'd like to see that happen. And so, Jenny, I don't know if you can come up with names on that or not, but I'd like to see that happen.
I think we've talked about it a few times, talking about a culture of gratitude. Holly Hebe's name has come up, and wanting to recognize citizens in our community that go on above and beyond the call of duty, that are really putting in hundreds of hours worth of volunteer work. And, you know, Natasha and Judy are people that just
I recall
go all
years
out.
ago that the chamber was one that actually did those things.
Right, the chamber has Citizen of the Year and Business of the Year, but I don't know whether that's
I think they used to do
directly
like
correlates
volunteers.
to their, how much service somebody gives. And I think that once a year, I think is not enough. I think when it comes to showing gratitude, that needs to be a culture of gratitude. And we need to create that with our community, with our employees, with our staff, and just start lifting people up that are doing the extra mile instead of always being a.
Just let them know that we know.
We saw what you did and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, and the people that you mentioned are involved in all aspects. I mean, they volunteer all over the place.
And all that is basically acknowledge them, and if they want to come down and get a certificate from us or whatever, we can invite them down, and I think that would be a good gesture. I was talking to John not too long ago, and he said, and I asked a question about, what was it I asked? Something about the soda tax or whatever, and John says, well, it's going on right now. Matt's on the radio. Matt's on City Talk. And so I immediately went out and tuned into City Talk. I want to thank you so much for the first thing I heard was someone singing. And I go, oh my heavens, Kohai's taken a step forward as we become a little more progressive. And Matt, good work. Good job. I like that. That was very personal as well, and I like that touch. And I thought you spoke very well, and I was very, very much encouraged. Down at the Morage, the St. Helens Morage, the manager Tony, who has come before the council twice now, I believe, regarding issues of theft and piracy, and she knows who those individuals are. She tugs on me a lot, says, what do we do about it, and I said, well, get to our police. If you have actual photographs of those individuals walking the docks and doing those kinds of things, get them to our police department, make an appointment with Chief Moss or anyone else, and get that to so that we know who those individuals are. You probably already know, Chief, I'm not certain. But apparently she did this last weekend, apparently there were some incidents on the city docks that involved some thievery and some problems. She said we'll probably get a note from Columbia River Yacht Club regarding what happened this last weekend. So I don't know much more than that, just kind of a heads up that is an issue. Other than that, I have one other thing, and that is for the council and for the staff, do we have 4 people who are going to join in for the Barbara Bolus Memorial Tournament for the food bank? All the proceeds go to the food bank, and do we have 4?
I have 4, yes.
Okay, so I'm 1, right?
And John, right?
Sure.
Yes.
And you and 1 other?
Yes.
Okay, so you put that fellow's name down here on this, unless John already sent it in?
I have not sent it.
Okay, but they just, as long as they know that, I told Mr. Wheeler, who's a manager of the food bank, to send us that application or whatever, and what he else said. So that's Monday?
Monday, yes. Or the
7 in the
employee
morning.
from our new company, ACSP,
Nope.
has decided to join us. He's a sports cancer and whatnot, so I thought it was a good deal. And he's just an average golfer like us, so.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. So, one thing I'd like to ask council is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Alana Club and what they do up there.
Yes.
Okay, they do a lot of self-help meetings. They work with DHS to drug court to CCMH, a bunch of different outside agencies, and they never get any help from anybody up there, which, you know, it is what it is. But they keep the doors open. They get, luckily the city, that is a city-owned building, gives them affordable rent. But recently they have dumped about $2,000 into landscaping. And it looks really, really nice up there. Flowers, new sod, bark dust. And unfortunately, we've only had 1 day of rain in 3 months. And I was hoping to get together with Matt, and if the council has a census, and find out the difference of what it's been costing to water this sod and flowers. And I was hoping that the council would forgive just what it costs to water the grass and the flowers outside to keep everything alive. Because it's been, I know I myself have been up there to water it personally, and it's been, it takes a lot to keep it green. And you don't want to lose it. Once you put it in, you do not want to lose it.
Do they have a drip irrigation on that?
No. Nope.
Those are fairly inexpensive to put in.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big area. If you look at, if you're driving down 6th Street, you'll see all the flowers completely down towards the road, and they'll all clear up the side.
Yeah.
And they're also up on top. And feel free to stop by there anytime. And then also, I mean, like I said, DHS uses that building. People have birthdays. It is open to the public, you know.
Could you see putting a drip irrigation system in there?
It would be really not cost effective. This is just like one of the driest years on record. It's just abnormally dry.
Yes, there has been for everybody, and while I really appreciate the Alana Club and the things that they do, it would be difficult to make an exception for them, I think.
Well, they are a nonprofit 503c.
Well,
and it is a city building, and I can testify, because I've sat on that board for about 10 years, that we have done 100% of the maintenance, other than what we've come to the city. The only thing was for half the roofing cost. We put a new roof on that place. We have done a number of things. I got pictures of that place engulfed in blackberries when they acquired it Dick Jacobus, Dennis Hills, and Dick Wood. And it was
I
the
know.
old J.C. Hall, and it was completely run down.
I know there's been a lot of effort put into that building.
Yes.
I realize that.
Yes.
But
In all those places, not one of them donates a dime. Drug court, CCMH, DHS has had meetings there, Susan, with kids and moms.
is it possible to ask them for a contribution?
You would think they would step up, especially when they're ordering, drug court is ordering people to do meetings there. And we have to deal with that wreckage sometimes, because sometimes they're not so pleasant.
Can we, just to not have it decided now, but I'm kind of leaning as to to look at that.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not even,
That could let us know
I'm
what
sure
the
it's not
cost
even gonna
is.
be about maybe even $200, but it's a lot when
To
it
look
comes
at
to a
what the bump
nonprofit
is,
who's
What
barely.
their summer bump is, just because they
Yeah.
made improvements. We're trying to encourage, granted, that's not Main Street, but we're trying to encourage Main Street improvements, trying to encourage people to,
And they don't even,
to do more.
and by the way, they don't even know I'm here.
They don't
I know our financial records have been slowly dwindling down. The place is struggling from what we had. There's just been a slow, it's nothing to do with the water bill, for quite some time. It's just like any other
Just a
nonprofit.
side question that has nothing to do with this. Do you have fundraising?
Do
Do you have any fundraising events?
A lot of it is, we throw money in a basket, like the Catholic Church passes a basket. That's
Mhm,
what
But
we
that's
do.
just among members. Do you do fundraising outside of the organization?
We're kind of, that's what we do, is it's supposed to be kind of like, even though we're the Alana Club, we still kind of try to define those anonymous type of, we don't do a lot of public fundraising.
I appreciate the heads up.
Yeah.
I appreciate the heads up, but I have a suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
And the suggestion is to get one of the club members to come forward and ask for that. And then that, because
I sit on the board.
I understand that, and there lies the ethical dilemma.
Yeah.
That you're also mayor, and you sit on the board.
I'll just
and you're
recuse
asked-
myself.
Well, I know, but if someone from your board would come forward and ask.
I don't want to complicate it. I just wanted to put it out there. So, okay, my other topic is, I'm not, it's not right. I'm not going to drag somebody down here if it's.
You don't have to drag them down, just suggest.
So, my other topic is this sugary tax. This thing has gone way too far. In my opinion, I've talked to a lot of businesses out there who want me to speak for them. I told them the way this thing started out as an idea at Budget Committee. There was a health district that brought us a seminar on the effects of drinking soda, and that the census of the council was to continue to pursue it, and we are where we are now.
The consensus of the council was to allow Matt to investigate it, and it was the budget committee that suggested
Yes,
that
and that's what I
that we
said.
find other ways, creative ways of finding revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And this was one of the suggestions. Another one had to do with the municipal courts, and there were a whole list of them. So I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just clarifying and going beyond what you said a little bit.
So, I don't know how anybody else, what you've heard out in the community, but I just think this thing has gone way too far, in my personal opinion, and I want to stay together as a council, but I want to hear a little discussion on that topic, if you don't mind.
Did Susan finish her council report? Did I miss it?
Yeah,
Oh,
and then it went to
Yeah,
Doug,
no.
and then it came to Doug.
I finished, but I do
I'm
have
sorry.
comments about this too.
My feeling on the soda tax or sugary beverage tax is from the very beginning, we were gonna take input. We've not advertised and taken input. I've heard half a dozen people in the community say it's stupid, you're minding our business, and I've heard 6 or 8 avid soda drinkers say, it's a tax I could choose to pay, and it goes to kids, I'd happily pay it. And so until everybody gets a chance to hear their thing, I think that's part of the transparency, part of the process. And I don't mind having part of the process. That's why I was elected, is to hear the community in this room, on the record, not somebody on the street, not my friend, not my friend of a friend, not my cousin, but to have public testimony and make a decision based on public testimony. That's, you know, it's unpleasant to hear people get mad and yell at you, but that's why I sit in this chair. Whether they yell because they want us to do more or yell because we're doing too much, I'm happy to hear it.
I have personal concerns with the tax because of just being a local tax and not being a statewide tax. The effect that it would have, but we scheduled a forum and I would like to hear what the public has to say. Forum. Is it still on the books? Have we canceled it? What?
No, we haven't canceled it. That's my whole, the reason I want to talk about it is I definitely talked to a lot of people. I've talked to state senators even about this issue. That's how far up the scale it's gone. Okay. And that I'm going to publicly denounce it. I never have been for it, Matt, you know that. And I didn't want to have to do this. I wanted to go as a council as a whole, but I don't feel that we're doing due diligence to our community if we continue to pay staffing to be here and take minutes and spend any money on this issue. That is personally not fair to St. Helens businesses. You're right, Susan.
I agree with that part, but
So that being said, that's where I stand, and it's my stance, not yours. And that's why I wanted to have this discussion and give you guys the opportunity to talk about it a little bit further. I want the media to know that I am not for this, because I'm tired of getting emails, I'm tired of seeing people out in the public, and I have no problem defending myself and saying I've never been for it, and then this is exactly what I say is what I just said. It was an idea that was brought up at Budget Committee. We had the health department come in and give us the negative effects of soda and the census of the council, the census, which is 3 out of 5. We have a weak mayor policy. You told me that, Susan.
Yes.
I cannot veto anything. The mayor cannot veto anything. It's a 3 to 5 vote.
Right.
I told them I would stand up here for them today, and that's what I'm doing, and that's where I stand. This thing has grown into something that I don't think you all really fully understand how far this has grown. I'm just saying that.
I've had lots of responses too, and I have a personal opinion, but we're here to represent the public, and I think we need to hear from the public on this more than just the emails that we get, and I get them too, more than just what we read on Facebook, but people that come down here and talk to us. We need to listen to them on both sides.
So I will probably be taking a protest at that meeting and not be here.
But you're not going to listen to what people who come in say? You're going to limit what you listen to?
Not at that meeting. I've heard what people have to say out there.
But there may be more people.
As my position, that'll be my stance to take.
It's perfectly okay to take a stance, but shouldn't we be listening as much as
It's just
possible?
a forum. We're not making a decision. You guys can have it.
Okay.
Well, I was the one who initially asked for this to be on a public forum. And the council all agreed at that time. And we were, I know at the one meeting, we were somewhat trying to figure out when we would have the public forum. And I thought that was a bit of contentious or whatever. But other than that, I have to disagree with the mayor on this, because I think that this is good governance. It's transparency as much as we possibly can get in terms of listening to everyone in our community. So I think we owe our citizens that. We owe our citizens the right to come in and argue both sides, no matter what the issue is. In this sense, the issue is about health, community health, and it's also about our budget. And it's also about where our money will go. So it does have reference to what we're dealing with. The budget committee directed us to do this. And then the people in the community kind of got on board with it being a health issue. So there's two issues, in a sense, that we can hear as a public forum. That's what public forums are for, is to air concerns about what's going on. And so I'm excited about it because I want to hear about it. I'll learn some things. I know I'll learn some things. The outcome of the vote is not as important to me as people getting into this room and voicing our concerns and us hearing. So that's how I feel. It isn't like, okay, I'm going to vote this way or vote that way or do this or do that. I think it's important.
I'm not perfect, and I never will be perfect, and I'm okay with saying that I do not feel this is the right decision for the council to continue to go down this path. That's my choice. Sometimes I will probably be the leader of something like that. It's a humbling experience that, yes, I am willing to sit up here and take it. But when the citizens have already spoken and you've had the business owners of the community come to you, and you've had a state senator, Johnson, come to you and say what's going on, and when you've had a number of emails, phone calls, and I, the mayor, am getting the brunt of that. So I'm advising you guys, and Doug, you're more than welcome, you are council president, to run that forum. If you guys, as a council, have that census that you want to go through with this, fine. And you can run that meeting.
Well, we'd miss your presence. We would.
That's fine though. If you guys, you got a month still to think about it.
That's Keith.
I've already asked the whole council for their input.
Keith hasn't expressed
Keith
himself
hasn't
yet.
said anything.
Yep.
I'm okay to go either direction on it, but I think we called a forum and we probably need to go through the process, so let's continue to go down through the process.
To the bitter end. Okay, I'm a type of person that sometimes an idea sounds good, and then you start to go down it and you see it's not that good. And I don't have to go all the way to the end with my decisions, so, and that's where I'm at. And that's where I'm taking a stance. And that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. So, let it be known. So I don't really have anything else. That was my burning one because, and if anybody's watching or listening and you'd like to talk to me, that's fine. But the mayor does not have a decision on the soda tax. It is not a veto option. Okay? And that's where we're at. And so that's where I'm at.
Could I also add that there's no legislation on?
Yeah, oh, no. There is, it's just a forum. Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a, yes. How many cities do this in the whole United States? Matt?
As of right now, there are about 7 or 8, specifically in the state of Oregon.
And
specifically in the state of Oregon, the city of Ashland has a food and beverage tax of 5%. The city of Yawhats has a
they have a fast food, right? Fast food.
Anything prepared food and beverage of 5%, as well as the city of Ontario, Oregon is currently going through the voting process and will likely pass a 1% sales tax in their city.
Yes.
Those are the current things going on, as well as Multnomah County working towards getting the soda tax initiative on the ballot for next November.
So, but how many nationally are sugary drink tax specific?
I think there's
Seattle,
about
Berkeley.
7 or 8, maybe. There's 4 or 5 down in
7 or 8 nationally.
This is, Berkeley's passed one in 2015. The other 7 or so have passed them in the last year, maybe.
Very new.
So it's a very brand new thing. There are essentially 4 ways to get revenue in a city. There's charges, there's fines, there's taxes, and there's debt. And
that's right.
Financially speaking, I would consider the city almost tapped out on debt, and nobody likes paying taxes. Some of the comments that I've heard myself are, you should tax this, or you should tax this, because it doesn't pertain to those people. So, like you've all said, this is an idea that we're researching, we're getting feedback on. I think that's the purpose of the public forum. So I would just live through the process and take into consideration that this is the process of government.
So my point is, I know what you make, and it is public, and I don't see a reason to continue to go down this path of having you continue to research and be up here giving a seminar on this issue when we have 8 cities in the whole nation doing this. All right, executive session. Now time to go into executive session. ORS 1926602E, real property transaction. I need somebody to move.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to go into executive session ORS 1926602E, real property transaction. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none? Okay, we'll take a little break. It's a heated topic, people. It's a heated topic.
Sue, I was gonna tell you, twice I got stopped with the work on First Street. You guys are so sweet.
Oh, good.
They're so sweet and so nice. Everybody in the van, they're so nice to us. They all wave.
Government.
So it was just, it's nice because a lot of times when we get stopped, the ODOT folks, because we travel all over, they're like, and so having them all be a smile, we're sorry, but you have to go around this way, and there's, come back in 20 minutes and you can go here because right now it's too hot. And they were just super nice, and they just wanted to pass that along.
Oh,
I'll pass that on.